So I've been making junk journals from digital downloads from Back to the Source PL. And these are some beautiful foresty kind of ones. Used an old button. These are some of the tags or tickets. Very pretty. This makes a trifold folder. The pockets are easy because they match the background that you glue them to. And I'll continue to add to it. This is some paper from Temu. And I haven't bound it together yet. This is also handmade paper from Temu. And what I've done is I've glued it to the back of these pages. So it's nice because it's very rustic and goes really good with the wildlife forest kind of look. Like I said, I'll go ahead and stitch that to make a booklet out of it. This one I printed a little bigger, or it came that way, I can't remember. It's full size, printed front and back. This is a stained page from another download. And these could just be things you sell at a craft show, for instance, or gift to somebody that they don't take that long to make. This was kind of fun because I just kept going with it and gluing pages together. That I had a little flap maybe. This one I covered it up with this pocket. These all have this craft cardstock, which I really like because they're very sturdy. Not going to get worn out as easily or torn up. So this is kind of fun because it just kept going. The thing you have to remember when you do this is give it a little bit of room here so that as you keep folding, it has space here in between the pages so it doesn't get cramped. That goes that way, that goes that way. So there's another one. There, you'll get a page of instructions with your download. And it's just super gorgeous. Again, I use HP Smart Ink so I don't run a big expense up printing these out. Very three-dimensional looking with the vines. And I've already scored and folded over some of the pockets. And those are inked. So to score the line. For the flap. I like these with the flaps because they attach nicely. The flexibility is really good. So this is going to get glued together. I've already scored it here. And of course your pockets after you fold it is when you have to ink, because sometimes just a little bit of white will show. This is quite dark, so I'm going to use the darker ink. This is O2 ink in rotting wood. And I will also use this lighter one because some of the pieces aren't that dark on the edge, but this one's super dark. So I'm covering that white edge. And up here too where the cut, you're always covering where you cut the paper. See how it's white right there? Make sure you cover that and then bring it in a little ways to antique the paper. Make it look vintage. Now this might be a little bit ahead of myself because once I glue it, there might be an edge I have to snip away. That could be the super dark. And when you're going to glue these on, you're going to do it so the sides are in first and then this outside. And what it does is when you try and slide something in the pocket, it holds that bottom out just a little bit, even though this will be pretty flat. When you glue it down, it just keeps that bottom out so it's not catching whatever you're sliding in and out of the pocket is. These are some of the ephemera that comes with it, little cards and things. Okay. And I printed on the background sheet on the back. Background. And these that I didn't print on will get glued to here and cut out. And then these will get grommets in them. The holes, I mean. So I'm just going to put it right there. Flatten it down real good. These are some of the tags with it. And they have quite a big hole. And the grommets I had that work are these floral shaped ones. It's a little loose in there. Anyway, using this and pressing down Crocodile 2, pressing down with all my might, they were still not perfectly down. So I'm going to try something. This covers it completely and fits in the hole just right. So we're going to do that. And I've got this set. Crocodiles have these settings where you can lift that up and turn it. And I'm using this large one. And then click it down back into place. This is set on the grommet setting part. And then we put it in there. Press down really hard. And it went pretty good. This one's still a little loose. I'm going to try and tighten it more. I also sometimes hammer these a little bit. That's pretty good. I'm okay with those. Had to really push down on it though. And then these will get their corners taken off. I have this corner punch. And the one I like is right here. And you stick it in, you want to look at your bottom right here. Can't tell what you're doing from the top. And take those corners off and they're nice and even. So there we go. And then once they're inked, and then they'll get string or ribbon or yarn put right here. So here's one. Let's do the corners. If you notice, I just cut it square and left the white because the corner is going to take care of it. Can't do it on these. It has to be on a right angle. These will be fine just like they are with a little bit of string or embellishment. The corners are done. Now I have to ink those too. So I've jumped ahead a little bit and started to put this together, and I've also cut out and inked the edges in the front and backs. And the instructions said to take folder A, which is this side with a flap, and put it on here. And what I'm trying to show you is I haven't glued these down, which it says to go ahead and glue down first. The reason being, I'm going to decide in a little bit which way I want it to close and if I want a closure on it. I believe this is the way it should close. And I'll put a brad or something through here. And then I'll glue this shut. Also, when you do these, I darken these edges that are going to show a little bit so they disappear. For instance, these are the flaps on the back. I actually printed on the back of this thinking it would take care of it, not realizing the flaps were then going to go over it. So it will still show a little bit. See that light? So I'm in the process right now of darkening these edges. See, that's pretty good. That's kind of disappearing. And that I just did with the dark ink, which is the rotting wood. And really worked it in here because it's not very dark. On the other side, I had some marking pens, and I used these 3 colors and just kind of scribbled back and forth so it'd be really dark because it was up against something very dark. And see, it just disappears. No, see, that's a little light there still. This one looks pretty good. And I'll show you what that brown pen was making it do. And I was just kind of cross-hatching it. And missing places, which was fine. Cross-hatching it the opposite way. This one really fills in good. I'm not trying to cover all the brown up. I'm just trying to scratch in and fill in. Okay, and I'm going to give it a little scrub now with the ink again. Just blending, making it dark, so these edges will disappear. Okay. Now let's see if how that looks. See, that's better. And you'll notice I want to mark these to line up. Okay, so this is the part where I like to take the smaller tape and go about every ½ inch. That way I'm not using glue in the middle, which could cause it to ripple if I use too much glue, or maybe stiffen up a little bit, but I like to use glue around the edge because I can get it clear to the very edge with my finger, and I'm cleaning out the clog in my glue. Okay, can you kind of see that tape? And now I'll put glue along the edges. It doesn't need a big bunch. Oops. And I'll smear it with my finger. Pull it clear to the edge so the edge lays down nice. I got too much on here, I'm letting it go in a little ways. Okay. I'm going to look at it this way so I can line these up. And I want it over, to make sure it's over a little bit, which it is. Okay. It's going to close like that. Like I said, I still haven't glued these together. And let's find some of our pockets. Now with this digital download, what I like of hers is that the pocket will always match the background that it's going to go on. So all you have to do is line it up and it'll match that. So that's pretty neat. And again, you could use tape. I'm not a fan of it. When I started this, I started to use tape. And I do believe this stuff is pretty secure. But I probably use this. And my stuff would come apart a month or two later. So I went back and just glued everything, and then it's like a year later now and it's all fine. And again, I can always get the glue right to the edges, which I like to be able to do. Now remember, when you're gluing down, you want your sides to go in first. This goes on top of the sides. And because I had inked it already, this is nice on this edge. It makes it show up a little bit. So even though it's the same picture, the ink lets you know that there is something else there. Okay, there's that one. And let's see what else we've got. Got this. Okay. The nice thing about these too, when that does have these folded edges, instead of just a flat piece of paper that you glue down, this will make a little bit more of an pocket where you can ease your papers into it. It's not so tight, which you also want to remember, if it's not so tight and you put one little tiny thing in it, it could just slip outside of it as you're handling the folio back and forth. So you don't want that. Just be mindful. You might need more of like 2 or 3 tags or a booklet in these type of pockets. That is looking good. And again, see, you could put something like an actual booklet in it. There's enough room. Sometimes what I'll do is make sure that my glue didn't creep over the edge of the flap and stick this to the backing here. So that one's all good. Probably better to do that with just a piece of white cardstock or something that you don't have already printed. Let's see now, is this? Ooh, look how pretty that is. Okay. So again, we can move pretty quickly here. And like I said, the tape would be fine. I think the heavier duty this tape, but that's a little wide for that. You'd have to use less. Also, the tape, super sticky, so the second you put it down, you're not going to get your paper picked back up if you didn't put it down just right. Whereas with the glue, because it's wet for a minute, you can slide it around a little bit. There's one for here. There's one for here. So each panel has a pocket that comes with it. And as you can see, it's the same picture printed as the background that you're going to put it on. Very easy to figure out where these go. And part of the reason for leaving a little bit of space so this would fold in easily was the fact that these are all going to have pockets on them, and that'll take up a little space. It's really pretty. Okay. That one's going to go right there. And it's going to be glued on 3 sides. Side first. And in just a little bit on the edge. Side to side. There we go. I am going to poke a hole. I already measured right here to put a brad in, and I picked this brad out. I just like the colors, how it kind of popped with the other colors in the piece. And then I learned to put a spacer here because we're going to wrap string around that. So you can have, this is 1.5 millimeter, and this is 1 millimeter. So I'm going to use a 1.5. And that pushes it up. No, it's okay. Sometimes there's a design or pattern that you want it to be a particular way. And while that's spacers in there, bend it down real flat, real flush. And I'm gonna cut this. Put a piece of tape on the back side. It holds it, gives it a little bit of reinforcement. That can come out now, but what I'm gonna do, is get this ready to stick together, okay? So again, my favorite thing of tape, I will take that out of there. See how it left that space? Can you see that? So it'll be easy to wrap string around that. Okay. So I've done about every 1/2 inch. Now I'm doing the edge. Okay. And take the backing off this tape so it'll stick. Should have done that first. Okay, now we're gonna press this over. So by doing it that way, the brad is now hidden. And you could say, well, the pocket's in the way, but everything would catch on it, so it needed to be behind the main piece of paper, not just behind the pocket. Sometimes when I've forgotten to do it, I print a whole nother panel and put that over it, because you really want to keep it hidden away. So now we've got a nice little pocket there, or pocket clasp kind of thing. And we have got to figure out what it's going to hook to. Now you could do a few things and have string wrap around it like this and just have it tie to itself. And now that that's glued down, we will take ink and ink this. So I tried a few things for this closure that I want to wrap around here, like ribbons and yarn, and it was catching on here somehow. So I'm just going to go back to my usual string, and it doesn't really matter either way that I do it. A loop's hanging down. Or that. So, about right here, I want to measure that and poke a hole right here in this edge, but I better actually mark it with something that I can see. Check it again, because of course I can't really see that. Let's get a better marker. I hope that's it. Good enough. Okay. Not very big, so I will use a needle to pull this through there. Okay, so then it'll be like that, wrapped around it. I want to be able to do it a few times. Or at least one full time. That looks okay. So I'll open this back up. And split this apart. And I want to keep it away from that from showing, so I will get that handy white tape that's thicker. Tape it down. these off. Okay. And see, that won't really show anything there. And then that'll be like that with a couple of wraps. And now it's okay to go ahead and glue this flap down. And like always, I'll use my glue tape, and then I will just put my glue around the edges. Okay, so just a thin little bead along the edge. This is a little bit sloppy, but I'm gonna move it with my finger. Really got a lot on there. Okay. That feels real secure. So it's just kind of a disappearing little closure there. This is a little bit bulky now because we have a pocket. And then by putting the string there and tape, this has just got a little bit of bulk to it. These are just some papers from Temu. I'm not going to do anything to them. Something that can be journaled on. This is part of the digital downloads, of course. And let's take some of these next, because we're going to start filling the pockets up. So this is some ribbon I had. Sorry about that, I bumped the camera stand. I don't make these too long. I used to make them a lot longer and they kind of just were hanging everywhere. So it is there. So now you can see what I mean. There's the little collar at the top. And then this is nice too. So it's just your preference, or just, it doesn't matter if they're all different. And I like them to have a little bit of contrast. This needs more in it, and I'm going to actually put a booklet in here, so, because see how that's loose, because it was only glued on two sides. And I don't usually do all of them. I just like some of them to be done. And this could actually get the booklet in it. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, booklet. What's she talking about? Wait a minute. Before we do that, I'm going to glue this little embellishment here. I thought this was pretty neat. It's just some trim, kind of felty feeling. And I'm just going to glue it right here. And then I got this Tim Holtz ideology. There's nothing that cannot happen today. So I think that's kind of a nice saying. I want them both to be here, but that's not going to work. So I think one will go here. So this is just going to get glued down. Okay. Now I think when it dries, I hope, because I just realized that's like made glue come through, which it shouldn't have. I just put very little on. But I feel like that will go away. And I don't want to cover this beautiful reflection up, so I'll put this over here. There. These are just nice when you put these little thoughts in wherever you can. Okay, I'm going to put that to one side to dry. And we had this little tiny booklet. And in the graphic download, it just had this and this, different size sheets. I'm not even sure if it's meant to be used together. And then I used their background sheet for the back of it. And it does print on it sideways. But I just decided that didn't bother me. This is some more paper from Temu, and it's kind of neat. It's very light and not meant to be like a big beefy paper, but I really like the torn edge on it. It has a nice look. So I just took one sheet of paper and folded it in half. So there's the edge of the page. And I'm not measuring or doing anything. I just want to get it close to the edge of the page. You can kind of eyeball it and get it square enough, I think. Oops. Let's hope this works, huh? Better. Okay. Maybe I'll measure it to this one. So they're even. Okay. And again, I want to be inside that pencil mark. Like I said, you want it pretty rustic. You want it to look handmade. We're not going for perfect. Okay. Okay. There we go. Want it to be inside a little bit. Scooching it over. Tear. Okay, so then now we've got basically a little booklet that can be written in. So I'll do that to that one, and it could be right here. I love making these books, so it's something you can kind of explore. Because there's always little cubby holes, and there's tickets and pockets. And I kind of thought this might look neat to put corners out here. They're just little brass corners, fairly thin, and then this has enough stuff glued on it that it can take it. Oh, I put that over a little bit, huh? Let's see if that'll work. Yep, that's okay. So we're going to press them in, get the excess glue off. It just adds a nice little extra touch. So let's put a little bit. See this? I had poked a hole in it. So I'll grab some of this that's leaking out. So I'm going to vote that putting it on here might be tidier. actually, because it doesn't seem like I got enough on there. Now this is a little thinner up here, so what I'm going to do is take some pliers and press these down just a little bit so they aren't sticking up at all. Oops. You want to do it before the glue dries. Of course, that has a lot of glue, so it'll take it quite a while to dry. That's neat. So what I would do now is I'll explore all my goodies that I have put away and add a few more things here and there, stickers or whatever. And then this will be something that could basically go to a craft show and not be super expensive. It doesn't really take that long. I'll have to finish this. But it didn't really take that long, and it kind of is a nice compliment, because earlier I made these other books, and this one's not quite finished because I don't have the wrap on it, but they all kind of complement each other. This one had the nice big booklet with it. So this would look great like in a craft show, or if you have hiking buddies or something, you want to give them something like this as a memento of some of your trips. That would be pretty cool. Plus they're all different. I like that part because you're not making duplicates. And these are all basically from 2 different digital downloads. Again, from back to the source. And I think this is just one was a later one. It's like Forest number 2. And this is from the first one. And like I said, these are ones I actually put sideboards on this and made a whole book out of it the first time I did it. And I love that. I'm going to go back and make one of those again too. All right, there's that. Cool stuff. Get busy.